which is why you go from elation to feeling that bad and why you may want to do it again because you get addicted to this drug. So don't think you're some kind of alien creature. That is literally your brain releasing something in your body that's making you feel good. We all do it. It's something that happens all the time, no matter what kind of human being you define yourself as. And on top of that, it's probably happening even more at the moment because we're all trapped in our houses and you may just get bored and think to yourself, I am going to order 42 pizzas and eat every single one and I'll finish that off with a bag of Skittles. But here's the thing. When you kind of learn that everybody's doing it, you realize it's not that bad and there are a few tips and tricks and things that hopefully when you do educate yourself on, you'll realize that binge eating or cheating on your diet or whichever phrase you want to use isn't as bad as you first think. Now, of course, I am talking about when you're doing it here and there. If you feel like you have a serious problem, you absolutely should reach out to a friend or a medical professional or a family member and talk to them about it because there's nothing more important than your mental health. And I really, truly do mean that. Otherwise, my name is Simon Miller. Welcome to my crazy YouTube channel. If you could hit the subscribe button, that would rock. If you could hit the like button, that would rock. And if you want to leave me a comment saying you don't know what you're talking about, you're bored or hell, I will still appreciate it because it means you engaged with my channel. But yes, overeating, cheating on your diet, a question I get asked about a lot, so I'll just tell you everything I know. And the most important takeaway, and I want to put it right here at the start of the video, is do not beat yourself up. Don't go crazy. Don't try and feel really guilty or anything like that, or punish yourself in some way. Again, it's something that every single human being who is adhering to some kind of diet is going to do. You can't help it. Brains are crazy. People that enter into this crazy fitness world are crazy too. Hashtag crazy. So just remember, I've done it. You've done it. Pete Timble Duck To-Do, he's done it. Everybody's walking around cheating on their diets for one reason or the other. And the thing you've got to remember is that if you have just done this once, it really doesn't matter. Like, to see crazy amounts of weight gain or crazy amounts of fat gain, you're going to have to be doing this a lot. Like, if you've stuck to your diet rigidly for 14 days, but on day 15 you have a crazy binge where you just take an incredible amount of calories, your body essentially will sort that out as long as you go back to task the following day. So that's the most important thing to remember. You cannot destroy your physique and you cannot destroy your body just by binge eating or cheating on your diet here and there. It's a collaborative effort, so straight away everything can just calm down. And the next thing that's good to know is that as human beings, our brains are actually hardwired to like the taste of salt, sugar, and fat. And that's why when you do have a hamburger or a pizza or some ice cream, it feels great because your body likes it and it wants more. Like, when you take sugar out of your diet, for example, for a long ass time, and then you eat a cookie, your brain will actually send you signals saying, okay, I don't know what that was, but I do know you took that away from me from a long ass time, so I am now going to tell you to eat 12,000 cookies, and if you don't do it, I'm just, again, going to keep sending signals. And you need to be aware of that stuff, because it's like anything. If you are aware of what's going on, don't know why I'm using the aware so much, but if you are aware of what's going on, you can handle it better. It's like anything in life. When you're kind of walking into the unknown, you don't know how to prepare for it, but when you do, you prepare for it and everything's going to be all right. Your brain also releases dopamine when you do eat, which is why sometimes it feels really good to eat junk food and why you go through this kind of roller coaster. Oh, I'm having all the food in the world, I feel great, and then you finish it, the dopamine wears off, so it's essentially like a drug, what's the word you're looking for? When you run out of drugs, basically, when you go cold turkey, you run out of dopamine and then all of a sudden you feel guilty, which is why you go from elation to feeling that bad and why you may want to do it again because you get addicted to this drug. So don't think you're some kind of alien creature. That is literally your brain releasing something in your body that's making you feel good. Just try not to, or just try and find other ways to get it, you know? There's nothing wrong with doing it from eating here and there, as we'll talk about later, but you don't want to be doing it every day. Also, when you do binge eat, or whichever word you want to use for it, I don't like to do anything with too many negative connotations to it, but your pancreas will release a bunch more insulin than it does otherwise, and of course that can lead to weight gain and fat gain and stuff like this, and just your body will struggle to break down food more. But again, I don't mean to keep reiterating it, but it's so important. And if you just take one thing away from this video and it's this, that's cool, once here and there, your pancreas will deal with it, your stomach will deal with it, you'll be okay. And don't forget about your hormones either. This is probably more related to females than males, because estrogen and depending on where your estrogen levels are at, are absolutely related to hormones. It's why you see a lot of women saying that when they're about to go on their period and their estrogen levels drop, they feel like they can just eat and never stop. And that's because, again, when your brain is low on estrogen, you're low on serotonin levels. So it goes out of its way to try and find, well, how can I boost up my serotonin levels again? And it knows food is going to be good. So it says eat, and that's how it tops those levels up. So try and be aware of where you are in your life as well. And it could be that, again, much more likely to be that if you're a girl than a boy, because boys don't really have to deal with estrogen problems that much. But no one ever talks about this stuff, I find, and I think it's important to talk about. For me, the more information you can have, the better equipped you are to make sure that, again, you can just deal with it better. I know I'm using similar terms here, but that's because they say what I want to say. Okay, so in terms of what not to do, don't start skipping meals. That's what people like to do. They'll wake up the next day or whenever, and they go, I'm just not going to eat anything all day. And all you're doing there is setting yourself to have another binge because you are going to get hungry. All those feelings will eventually vanish, and then your brain will want food, it will send signals to you, and you may go binge again. So get back into your diet as quickly as you can, because I'm going to assume that your regular diet is really healthy and you're aiming towards a goal. You don't want one cheat meal or one, whatever you want to call it, to knock you off that. So absolutely do not skip meals. You may want to get up and have a lighter breakfast than you would do usually. And you can balance it out, as some people say. So let's say that you're usually having, X amount of carbs in a day or X amount of calories. Maybe if you binge on a Sunday night, on Monday you go, you know what, I'll just dump 300 or 400 calories here or there, or whatever you want to do, just so that I'm trying to balance out and making you feel better. But do not get up and not eat for hours, unless you're doing intermittent fasting or something, but that's different. But if your diet is, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, so on and so forth, get up, have your breakfast, accept that it's done, it's happened, it's over. Try and get as much enjoyment out of it as you can, because eating junk food can be fun, as terrible as that is to say. But yeah, get back to normality as fast as you can. You also want to try and figure out why you did it. Now, it may just be because you had a bad day. We all do that. We comfort eat, or, when you get broken up with by your partner, you comfort eat. That's what we do. But if you can figure out why you did it, you're probably not going to do it again. And if you feel like you're okay in yourself and it's not a mental thing, it may just be that your diet doesn't have enough variety to it. So maybe you want to go out there and get some low-calorie sauces, or there's so many. Popcorn. Popcorn's really good. You get some popcorn, put some salt on it, whatever you want to do. Make sure you're popping it from a popper. Don't go out and buy, I don't even know what brands of popcorn there are. Don't buy toffee popcorn. That's not healthy for you. But there may be other brands or, again, elements of food that you can actually introduce that are more than healthy and fine for you. And because you are getting that variety, you no longer want the pizza, because instead, you can go and have some popcorn. Go look out there. Greg Doucette does some amazing ones. He's a YouTuber. He's a pro bodybuilder too, and a strength guy. He does loads of these amazing recipes. I think he calls it Anabolic Kitchen, but go look up Greg Doucette's Anabolic Kitchen recipes, I suppose, and you can have all this really nice food that is also really good for you and will fill you up. And again, it's probably going to stop you from cheating on your diet. In terms of the more physical things you can do, stay hydrated too. Make sure you keep getting water. You may feel a bit full, but you don't want to get dehydrated, because that leads to things as well. And if you've eaten sort of relatively early in the day, or there's still time to go for a walk, going for a walk is not the worst thing in the world. And that sounds kind of silly, but A, it's going to get you out of the house, and fresh air is really good. But also they say that walking actually aids with digestion. And obviously, when you have eaten all of that food, what you want to do is get your metabolism working as quickly as possible. So yeah, even if you just take the dog out and go around the block, which we are allowed to do at the moment, it will just get your body back working in the way that you want it to. Ignore the scales as well. Don't worry about the scales. Even, you could even say up to 48 hours later, you're probably going to be carrying at least some water weight, because I imagine the sodium intake. There are a few bad meals out there that don't have crazy amounts of sodium in them. And that's what you're seeing. You're just going to be holding on to a load of water. So look, if you have a crazy enough cheat meal, you can put on 8 pounds overnight. You're like, what? It's just water. You'll piss it out, you'll wee it out eventually, and there may be some collateral damage afterwards, but you'll be able to figure that out too. So just don't, if you can't handle it, just don't weigh yourself. Just forget about it. And of course, do not think of this as a way not to have cheat meals. I mean, maybe you're someone that agrees with cheat meals, maybe you're someone who's not, that's completely up to you. But cheat meals do serve a purpose. Obviously, mentally, it's far easier not to cheat on your diet on a Wednesday if you know on Saturday you're going to have a massive, whatever you want, barbecue, burger, pizza, ice cream, nachos. You know, if you know it's there, you think, oh, I could have this bag of sweets now, but if I wait, I can enjoy it even more at the weekend with friends and family or whatever. But there's also a scientific point to cheat meals, in the sense that, you know, it can actually, what's the word I'm looking for, but aid your metabolism. You know, it can actually light a fire under your metabolism so that other foods that you're eating in the week are actually being digested better. Kickstart it is probably a better term, but it can also balance out your hormones. And this all comes down to leptin levels. And leptin levels are basically the anti-starvation signal to your brain. So if you haven't got enough of them, your brain thinks, oh no, we have to go eat loads of fat. And if you do have enough of them, your brain goes, okay, sweet, I'll stop shouting at you, human being, because I now understand that we're all okay and I don't need to tell you this stuff anymore. So if you get to the point where your brain thinks that you are plentiful in all of these things, it'll go, oh, okay, sweet, I've got enough fat, therefore I will now go out and start burning through fat stores. Like, again, doesn't mean you can eat crap all the time, that will go the other way. But again, just go read about it. Type in leptin levels, cheat meals. There's some really interesting articles, and you can kind of understand how using a cheat meal can actually, not only make you feel better mentally, but physically actually get you to maybe past the plateau or something like that. It's why a lot of people do refeeds. So don't just abandon cheat meals. I mean, you know, leptin levels and stuff like that, you're talking about 2-3% difference. It's not going to transform your physique or anything like that. And don't use it in an excuse, of course. But for me, I find cheat meals are there as again, it's like The Rock used to say, it's not a cheat meal, it's a treat meal. You know, you've gone through 6.5 days of being very, very dedicated and very, very regimented, and you deserve to have a pat on the back for that. Not that anybody told you to do it, but still give yourself a pat on the back. There ain't nothing wrong with that, especially at the moment. And then, you'll be encouraged to then do it again for another 6.5 days, and everything will be all right. But do not worry about it. It doesn't matter. Again, if you feel like you're losing control of it, that's a different video for a different time. But this is for the, oh no, I cheated on my diet, what do I do? And I've done it, and I've gone on the internet and typed this in, and I didn't know a lot of this stuff, and now that I do. And it still happens here and there, but I always know, I mean, if you're interested in what I do, I will always drop my calories down the next day. That's just what I do. So I'll probably have a no carb day, have a high protein day, something like that, and just make sure I'm taking in more calories just because it makes me feel better. It just does. I know that within a 48-hour window, I can't do that much damage at all. And it's for my mental health. I think, okay, well, I went a bit crazy here, but now, I don't mean in a, oh, you bad person, but I mean, again, to me, balance and moderation is key. So I'm like, well, you weren't moderate here, so now you've got to be moderate here. But make sure, you take stock of all these things, should you so wish. A food diary is also quite good too. Some people just, you may have more of a visual mind. So if you see what you've eaten in a day, it may help as well. And look, if nothing else, eat a bunch of fiber if you really, really get some crazy cravings, because all you got to do is get signals to your brain that says, oh, we're filled up. So if you have a bunch of salad, for example, which most or vegetables that often have a lot of fiber in, you won't have those cravings anymore. Everybody says this, it's a kind of fitness thing. If you desperately want 10 burgers, but somebody makes you eat, 20 bags of lettuce beforehand, you may still want half a burger at the end of it, but you don't want all of them because you're like, oh, I'm so sick of lettuce. So you can manipulate it, I guess, in that sense. But do not beat yourself up. It's okay. We all do it. More people are probably doing it now than ever because you can't even leave your house. Like, who cares what I look like? It'll be okay. I promise you it'll be okay. We're all crazy anyway doing this bodybuilding stuff. And maybe you needed it. Maybe having all that food did something to you that will put you in a more positive light for the next day. And that's that. Hopefully it helps. If not, again, you can let me know in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/SimonMiller316. There'll be a link in the description below. And there's a bunch of tiers on there as well where you can actually get physical rewards, because I kind of like to treat it like a shop. And also without it, I can't do YouTube content because we always talk about YouTube monetization. We won't chat about that now. Any other ideas too, please get in touch. Instagram, Twitter @SimonMiller316. And that's that. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.